Well, good morning, everyone. And it's a rarity on this channel for me to say good morning, but I'm doing the obligatory commentary on the inflation number coming out today, and it doesn't look good. We came in at 9.1% versus 8.8%. So scary stuff. But the funny thing is, for those of you that watch this channel, you knew that this number was coming out as early as last Thursday because I talked about it, because I do actually follow this stuff. And I think it's very important as an investor to follow this stuff because inflation numbers don't necessarily apply just strictly when it comes to investing, but inflation affects everyone in their daily lives, and it makes costs higher. It makes your wages worth less money. It makes the dollar worth less. And I mean, it's kind of funny, I guess, that everybody's talking about it kind of in a knee jerk way, but it's not a laughing matter because I mean, this is costing the average household a lot more money. And I want to talk about in this video some common misconceptions. First of all, on why we should focus on it or shouldn't, and common misconceptions about inflation itself. So those of you that follow me know, and the funny thing, you also know I usually wear glasses in my videos, but for some reason, like some people say, they just can't see straight when they get mad or there's maddening headlines. Well, I see better, so no need for glasses in this video. But anyway, so you can see inflation has completely tanked the major indexes this morning because it's come in much higher than expectations. I actually thought, and I was wrong again, but I thought we had peaked out, and because we were starting to see gas prices drop, and inflation is driven, in my opinion, the biggest driver of inflation is the higher oil prices, the higher fuel prices. It's all tied to energy. And I want to get into that because the Fed continuing to raise interest rates, I actually think that it's the wrong prescription. It's the wrong solution to the problem. The solution to the problem is for energy prices to come down. And despite what everyone in the media wants you to believe, oil and inflation didn't start when the Ukraine situation happened. Actually, before Putin invaded Ukraine, guess what? Inflation was happening. Costs were going up. Gas prices were going up. Gas prices have been going up since last year. They've been going up well over a year now. So don't let anybody fool you that this is strictly because of Russia and Putin and Ukraine. A lot of people don't want to talk about the true drivers of the situation because it may get a little political and a little controversial. But in my opinion, and I'll tell you straightforward, it's bad policy by our government. It's not drilling for oil enough, wanting to go too fast to clean energy. And what happens in a situation like this is that we're going to end up knee jerking. So whereas we were starting to build out more charging stations, charge ports, we're seeing a lot more people going to Teslas and electric vehicles. That solution is not feasible for everyone at this time. And so what's going to happen now, because this is what happens, we're kind of, as a country, we kind of have a short-term knee-jerk reaction to things instead of being more proactive. And see, the funny thing, I'm talking about oil, I get an oil ad, see, because this thing, obviously, the ads, they hear you. But anyway, what's going to happen, my prediction is that, so we have a midterm election coming up. At least the House is probably going to change hands. So we'll have more pro oil and gas, like we'll have more pro oil industry policies. We'll probably see more expansion of domestic energy, which we were seeing in the past, but that's kind of stopped because the current people in charge have made it their main goal to curb that, so that we can switch more to electric cars, clean it. Which, the funny thing, an electric car is actually, when you buy an electric car and you charge it at your house, 9 times out of 10, it's powered by coal power plant. So that's as dirty, if not dirtier, than the gas you put in your car. So until we're on something else like solar or wind, and a lot of energy experts don't actually believe that those energies are feasible enough to take over the whole energy supply of the nation. We're going to be dealing with oil much longer than people realize. But the point of that rant is that, like, in my opinion, this is tied, the inflation problem has a lot to do with energy prices. So by the Fed raising interest rates and raising them at record highs, it's not going to be like in 1981 when Chairman Volcker raised the interest rates and was able to stifle inflation. It's not, we're not in the same situation. Just like in this current environment, when the new administration came in 2021 and they did a second stimulus on top of the stimulus that had been passed the year before, it was too much. They looked at the economy, in my opinion, they looked at the economy as though we were in 2009 again, when a new administration took over then. And this is another thing that I have an issue with, because most people that talk about inflation tell you that inflation goes up when the government spends money, which, I mean, there is correlation, no question. But my counterpoint to that argument is, well, why did we not see inflation in '09, 10, 11, all those years that we were recovering from the Great Recession? The government pumped massive amounts of money into the economy. We bailed out the banks. That was almost $1 trillion. We passed a stimulus bill. Not much of it went to the people, but a stimulus bill of almost $1 trillion was passed, plus other government spending. But we didn't see inflation then like we do now. So making that argument kind of validates my theory that this has a lot more to do with energy. And that's really what's driving it. So until we see energy prices come down, I don't think the situation is going to resolve itself, although I did think it had peaked, because in a lot of areas, we're starting to see gas prices come down, including in my home state. We're finally starting to see gas prices come down. And we're also seeing crude oil coming down. But like I said, for those of you that watch my channel, one of the many value adds to watching this channel is that if you follow me close, you know I talked about this number coming out at least, I want to say, in my Thursday video, if not before. And I know about this because I follow a site called forexfactory.com, and it tells all the market indicators coming out. And like today, and you can go far out, like you can go out several months and you can see that when this number is going to come out every month. And you know, as an investor, and I think it's important as investors, even if we're long-term investors, it's important not just for investing, but I mean, it is important to know what's going on in the market and to know what inflation is going to do. Not necessarily that we can do anything about it, but, and the thing is too, like I talk about, even though I am a long-term investor, I believe that some speculative investments are good for your overall portfolio. And there are also a lot of people that you see that kind of freak out about these numbers, myself included at times. I mean, I'm getting better about it, but a lot of people freak out about this because they're trading on the data. And the thing is, so, and this comes into play with options trading, particularly options trading, futures trading, things like that. A lot of money can be made trading those. Now, 2022 is not the best year to take a case study of that, because the way the market has performed this year, it has not been conducive to very good profits, especially if you're doing like long call options and things like that. If you're doing put options and you're like taking short positions, then you've probably done a lot better. But the thing with that, your timing has to be pretty good. But overall, long term, because I'm going to be around a while, I'm not just a long-term investor, but I consider myself a long-term YouTuber. I don't plan on going anywhere. I'll be here as long as this platform is here. And over time, we're going to get back to a market where trading in options, futures, and things like that are much more lucrative and more stable than they've been this year. Not to say that they're stable, because options are obviously risky. But for example, like if you go back to 2021, that was a tremendous year for trading options. And I was up as an investor trading options. I was probably late to the game because the record bull market that we had been on for the last, 12 years started to come to an end in 2021. But we will get back to a time where the market is consistently going up again, which is great for call options and especially leaps, which you can just about use to replace your investments in stocks. And the thing is, see, being a long-term investor, just being purely a long-term investor and only investing in like index funds and things like that, you're going to end up working forever. And in my opinion, trading things like options, futures, and things like that, it allows you to pursue your dreams at a younger age, because then once you can succeed at something like that, you're not dependent on a job. And that idea, that concept, that's the core concept that motivates my channel, because and that's the core of what the core message I want to convey on this channel is, using investing, using financial knowledge to change your lives in a profound way. And the thing is, like, you really, not that people don't want to work, but most people want to do something that that fulfills them in life, that's rewarding. And in many cases, that's being entrepreneurial, starting a business, things like that. I always say have as many side hustles as you can, do as much as you can to earn income. But if you can have a vehicle in terms of investing that allows you to get there faster, by all means do it. And I'm not saying that to encourage risky investing or anything like that. Like I said, and you'll see those of you that stick around with me, because like I said, I'm going to be doing this for a while. I mean, I'm a lifelong investor. So as long as I'm alive, I will be an investor and I will be investing in everything I can. So you're going to see when the market turns, you're going to see how much more profitable different option strategies can be. And there are many ways, like from A to Z, there are many different strategies to make money in trading options and even futures, which I don't know as much about. But not just futures, but Forex too, like the site I'm on, Forex Factory. I don't trade Forex yet, but it's definitely something I want to learn in the future. But the thing is, I mean, while things are discouraging now, and while we're in a kind of a tough environment, things are not always going to be this way. The good thing, whether things are good or bad, in my experience, they don't last either way. So the bad goes away. Unfortunately, many times the good goes away too. But it's always like it's like a pendulum. We have a bad market right now, but we'll have a good market in the future. So that's the thing. It swings, one way or the other. So like a pendulum, we're going to go back to a good market, and it could happen sooner than we think. We've just got to get the pain out of the way. And like I said, I was wrong, but I thought inflation was I thought it had peaked. I thought it had peaked at 8%, and I thought it was going to start coming down. In some parts of the country, it has actually started coming down, but the nationwide average is what led to this number of 9.1%, which is absolutely insane. I mean, I never thought I would see this. And you can see the chart here, inflation surges to new 40-year high. So you can go back to the 80s and look, we were at like 14% in the consumer price index. That's what the CPI stands for, by the way. So I think as investors, Warren Buffett usually says, don't trade headlines, but at the same time, he also trades options. So while he may not trade headlines, he gets into stocks that he wants to with the famous put option strategy. So even long-term investors like him trade options. So think, what would Warren Buffett do? But the thing is, while I agree you don't want to trade headlines, I think the more informed you are as an investor, the better you're going to do as an investor. And if you just park everything you have, which here's the thing. So like the allocation I show, I am majority long-term index fund investor. My whole 401k, most of my IRA, things like that are in index funds. So majority, I absolutely agree. That's the way to go. But I think you should have a part of your portfolio where you can be a bit more risky, and that can take you to where you want to go a lot sooner. You don't want to bet the whole farm against it. You want to risk the whole house or the whole estate on risky stuff, like maybe some of these YouTubers do. You want to have that allocation, but at least in the piece that you can be more risky with, if you play it right, you can do really well. So with that being said, hope that was useful. If you like that, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And until the next number comes out, we'll see how we do. Let's get one last look at the market here. I think we're see, here's the thing. We were down like 300. We're coming back already. So the market's already kind of used to this. And last nugget here, the Fed may raise interest rates by a full percent. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to try to churn out some videos more frequently. I'd love to do a day at a time. We'll see what I can do. But anyway, stay tuned, like, comment, and subscribe. Take care.